All right. Thanks for coming, everybody. I don't know what this session is called, but you're going to learn how to play some pinball. Has anybody been to this before?
No.
Amazing. Okay, great. Last year, it was like most people we were coming for the second time, so this is great. My name is Ryan. I have been playing pinball for just the last 10 years, but many thousands of games every year. And from the beginning, I loved arcades as a kid. I hated pinball because he kicked my ass, and it seemed very random and unfair. So then I would go play Pac-Man or whatever, where I understood why I was dying every time. It seemed like it was my fault. And pinball, it's just like flip, 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 drain. This game sucks. Go to the next game. Flip a few times, drains. This sucks. Go back to the video games. So when I got into pinball, I started playing competitively, sort of right away, like in local leagues and tournaments. And if you don't know, Colorado has some of the best players in the world. The number 2 and 3 ranked player in the world are from Colorado, and many other players in the top 100. And so I've learned everything I know from trying to keep up with those people. And I will. I'm going to try not to talk too much about the rules of Led Zeppelin, and just try and keep it to be like general skills. And in pinball, there's all kinds of general flipper skills that you can use across all machines, and then each machine has its own individual rule set. And those things are both important, but being able to control the ball is the most important thing to me, because that helps you learn the rules of the machine, because you can bring the ball to a stop, you can look up and see what you need to do next. And so I'll probably just start playing a little bit, and if I feel free to ask questions, interrupt me, including now. Any questions? Okay, so like I said, I'm always trying to get the ball under control, and I always use this analogy, if I'm going to hit a baseball to left field, it would be much easier to just put the ball on the tee and stand there and hit the ball to left field, versus having somebody throw a fastball and try and hit that. And so most people, when they start playing, or if they haven't really seen really good pinball players in person, that's what it is. Every time the ball comes to your flipper, you fling it away as quickly as possible. And that's how I felt as a beginning player too, that my job was to fight gravity. Gravity's pulling the ball down, and as soon as it gets to the flipper, I need to get it away from that dangerous area as quickly as possible. But the thing is that the flippers is the area of the machine where you have the most control. Maybe really the only place that you have control. So this is the area, even though that's close to draining, this is where you get to influence the ball. And when it's in other places, you can't do much about it. The thing and I'm probably just, some of these things are going to work as a demonstration right away, and others are going to be considered, but that's fine. The thing that has made the biggest difference, the biggest leap in my ability as a pinball player, was bounce passing, or dead flip. Does anybody know what that is? Close. Anybody else? Well, sort of, yeah. So it's as the ball's coming down, instead of flipping, you just let it bounce from one side to the other. So you're gonna just take most of the momentum off of the ball, and maybe be able to get it under control on the other side. So I don't really know what's going to happen when I plunge this ball yet, because this is the first time I'm paying attention. But so I didn't do anything there. Ball bounced off, went to the other side, and I'm just going to flip around a little bit and try and set that up again so we can see it. All right. So this is what I would just call a cradle. Bring the ball under control, and now I can look up and see what I need to shoot and make the next move. I'm just going to sort of flip it out of control here to try and do another bounce pass when I can. So here, I could see from a long ways that I can, and that is like the most important move in all of pinball to me. Ball is coming down to the flipper. As long as it is not hitting the very tip or the very like heel of the flipper, where the plastic or the metal like meets the flipper, as long as it's in that middle 80%, you will virtually not be able to lose the ball by just not flipping while come down. Not flipper. It is possible on some older games, or if there's like a mechanical issue with the flippers that need to be rebuilt, that the flipper, particularly on older games, flipper might give a little bit when you try and do that. So on older machines, what I like to do is I just assume that that will work until I have been proven otherwise by watching it happen to somebody else. The ball comes down, the flipper gives a little bit, and it goes into the drain. But to me, like, I want to take that risk just to make sure that I can do it so that I don't have to be constantly flinging every ball away that comes to the flippers and be afraid of that. All right. Did that make sense? Any questions? Okay, cool. And so, like, sometimes you can bounce over and bring the ball under control with the other flipper. Sometimes you might bounce and it bounces and it comes back. Or it bounces over and you don't quite get control and you have to flip it away. That's okay. Like, at the very least, the ball is moving a lot more slowly now. And it's helpful when you know that you need to make a particular shot and you want the ball on one flipper and it's coming to the other side. So bounce it over. I'll see if I can do this like a few more times. And that was like the ideal thing. I wanted to go over, past this other flipper, lift it up, and then bring it to the cradle. So that time I didn't think it was going to work, but I even did it off the tip there. No big deal. So of course I don't really have any points here. I'm just like showing. There was a move there which is called sort of like a ski pass, I guess, which is balls coming down through the in lane, so the one that feeds the flipper. Comes down through the in lane, and you just like lift it up. So I lifted it up and like created a ramp to go over the other side, and I get fairly under control there. And so some of these things, like as we go, I'll be like probably like flipping more and introducing more skills, and then just be like happening sort of all together as I'm going. You said like you kind of mentioned like passing from one flipper to the other. So I would call this a post pass or a post transfer. So got the ball on the right flipper, and let's say I want to make this orange shot up there, but I can't get it from here. I want it to the other side. You can do what's called post pass, which is like that. And it looks, I don't know, to me when I first saw that I thought it was crazy, it looked really difficult, and it's not at all. And what you're doing conceptually is you guys can see sort of well enough, right?
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Okay, so we have the ball, I don't even know how to point it. Okay, dang, so the ball's right here, and there is right here is this is the slingshot, this like triangular thing right here. So there's a post on the bottom of the slingshot. What I'm doing is I'm gonna flip really quickly. So I'm gonna let go and flip again quickly. And basically I'm just shooting the ball into that post. Like that's what it's like a shot, but I'm aiming for that post. So I let go and flip as quickly as possible, and then hold the flipper to create this ramp to bring it to the other side. And I'm hoping that it gets over there and goes past the flipper, and then I can raise the other flipper, underneath it to bring it to the cradle. And a lot of people, when I teach this to them in person, this is what happens. They do this. So a lot of pinball actually is, for me, is getting the ball back under control. which just took a long time to do. So a lot of people, they pass it over, and then as soon as it gets to the other flipper, they panic and flip it away. But that's not really helping. Like, I want a controlled shot from the other side. So that was me flipping really quickly, and it was too quick because the ball sort of like went up the pin lane. It didn't quite hook. That was a better version, and it just went like a little bit too far down the bounce pass. Now back again. That's about it. Okay. So a lot of time like monkeying around, just trying to get the ball under control, and I got see if I can do it. That was okay. So that was pretty good. It went like a little too far, and then it came back. And so, if I hadn't been so desperately trying to show you the photographs, I would have flipped that away sooner. That's like a thing to recognize. With all of these skills that you start trying, you probably get worse in the beginning. Like, if you want to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs. And so you will make mistakes like that is a common one. Post pass, where you're like trying to bring the ball to a stop, and it rolls off the tip and it goes down the drain. And hopefully, the way you react to that is not to abandon trying to, learn that skill because you just got burned. It's like, okay, recognize. I gotta pay attention. Like I can't just sort of like pass it over and hope it stops. Like you gotta watch that ball, and if it's rolling too fast and you're not gonna be able to get it, then okay, flip it away. You'll have another opportunity to get the ball back under control. Alright, so that was not moving fast enough to bounce back there. And now I'll try to post pass. There we go, okay. And in that one, it came to the left flipper, and I could have flipped away, but I let it roll past, brought it back up. And there's sometimes even where you might bounce it over, and it bounces up on the flipper, and you can wait. So ball comes over, it bounces up, and you lift the flipper underneath it at its highest moment and can bring it under control. And if all of this I don't know if this sounds like, maybe this sounds easy and it's something you haven't thought of, or maybe it sounds like impossible. Anything is possible. But like, there's people that I've played with for a long time and that have like seen me do something, and they're like, okay, well that's great, you can do that, I can't do it. And I'm like, I think you can, and they've been able to do it like that, 15 minutes later. But it, like, you gotta try, you gotta fail and practice, and yeah. In some, there's times when it doesn't feel, if you're used to shooting the ball all the time, the ball is always moving, like that is very exciting. And so sometimes it might feel like, okay, this is boring, perhaps, to play more slowly and more controlled. There's like a whole spectrum of how you can play, and you can use control moves once in a while. You can try and use them all the time. But to me, like having a long game, scoring a lot of points, like beating somebody in competition, that's very rewarding and satisfying to me. And so that's why I like to play control. I guess like, yeah, I want to be like. I want to be in control and have like, I don't know. Maybe I don't want my heart beating out of my chest like the whole time. Does everybody understand like the post passing there and like? Okay. So I'm not sure that aiming is actually maybe it's one of my weaker skills, and particularly like because I've always been playing so controlled, sometimes I'm not so good at like shooting a ramp, shooting the other ramp, shooting a ramp. But, like making 6 ramps in a row is not my thing. I'm working on it lately, but I like to backhand shots often, and so for aiming, so I would say a forehand is when you have the ball on the left here and you're aiming to the opposite side. That's a forehand. That's like sort of like the most logical way that shots are often designed. Like this. Yeah, I guess you can see it. So the right ramp over here, like, you know, it's turned and it's like facing the left flipper. So you have to flip, you have to shoot from the left flipper on this game. That's the right ramp. The left ramp is like turned the other way and it's facing the right flipper. But I've played this game enough times and I've tried it out and I've watched other people, like, I know that you can backhand the left ramp on this game. And that looks like that, although I didn't make the shot. But you can see how theoretically. So the thing I would say about backhanding versus forehanding is that that was a draw catch. I'll talk about that later. So the thing I would say about backhanding is like a forehand, the shot is wider. Like it's going to be a wider shot because of the geometry of the game. And when you're backhanding something, it's probably narrowing. The angle that the ball is approaching is like narrowing the shot. So it's going to be a tighter shot to backhand, and it's going to be like a wider shot to forehand. But the ball on a forehand is going to be moving much faster. And the reason is because when you, like, if I'm shooting to the left here and I let go of the ball, I have to let the ball move further down the flipper before I flip. And that means that the flipper will be like in contact with the ball for a longer period of time. So like the ball is out here and you flip, like you're going through like the whole range of this flip. And if the ball is here and you flip, it's not going as far. So the ball, a forehand like throws the ball much more quickly, and a backhand, because you're shooting it further than the flipper, is going to be a softer shot. And so if you miss, it's going to be easier to recover on that softer shot. And often the angles of your miss are safer on the backhand. So I have the ball over here, and I'm backhanding, and I hit this post, like it's often going to go, like the ball will sort of like go out to the side or over this way. But like a forehand coming here and hitting this post is a fast and like possibly dangerous angle right down the middle or towards the out. So there's a trade-off there. Backhand, narrower shot, but easier to recover. Forehand, wider shot. Here I'll try forehand. I did get it there, no problem. And I'm trying to keep the ball under control. There I nudged the machine as the ball, I thought the ball was coming too close down to the ball. And nudged the foot. I'll talk about that later. So backhand, and sometimes you might be able to catch the ball as it comes to the in range right here on the bounce pass. So here, I'm going to just not flip and see what happens. That was scary, I think. I don't know that I love the way that came out. I'll try it again, and you can watch. Okay, that felt a little bit better. This is something I like to do to any machine, like all the time. You know, so there's games like Adam's Family. There's 2 scoops in that game, and constantly going those scoops, and the ball is back out. I want to know what happens if I don't flip. Like, I want to know how to control the ball safely coming out of those 2 scoops. It's going to happen a lot. And I watch other people play, and the ball comes out, and they fling it away every time. And that is like putting themselves at risk when they might be able to just lift up the flipper, and the ball comes to a stop, or bounce it over and stop it on the other side. And so what we saw just there was I didn't flip, and it bounced, and it made it over, and it was okay. Let's try, let me just try like another option here. So I'm going to try just holding this up. So that was okay. In both of these cases, to me, it looked like this kick out, the ball was coming very close to the slingshot here, very close to like the heel of the flipper. So something I could be doing is nudging the game. You react to that is not to abandon trying to, learn that skill because you just got burned. It's like, okay, recognize. I gotta pay attention, like I can't just sort of like pass it over and hope it stops. Like you gotta watch that ball, and if it's rolling too fast and you're not gonna be able to get it, then okay, flip it away, and you'll have another opportunity to get the ball back under control. All right, so that was not moving fast enough to bounce pass there. Bounce pass, and now I'll try to post pass. There we go. Okay. And in that one, it came to the left flipper, and I could have flipped away, but I let it roll past, brought it back up. And there's sometimes even where you might bounce it over, and it bounces up on the flipper, and you can wait. So ball comes over, it bounces up, and you lift the flipper underneath it at its highest moment, and can bring it under control. And if all of this I don't know if this sounds like, maybe this sounds easy and it's something you haven't thought of, or maybe it sounds like impossible. Anything is possible. But like, there's people that I've played with for a long time that have like seen me do something, and they're like, okay, well that's great, you can do that and I can't do it. And I'm like, I think you can, and they've been able to do it like that, 15 minutes later. But it, like, you gotta try. You gotta try. You gotta fail. You gotta practice, and yeah. In some, there's times when it doesn't feel. If you're used to shooting the ball all the time, ball's always moving, like that is very exciting. And so sometimes it might feel like, okay, this is boring, perhaps, to play more slowly and more controlled. There's like a whole spectrum of how you can play, and you can use control moves once in a while. You can try and use them all the time. But to me, like having a long game, scoring a lot of points, like beating somebody in competition, that's very rewarding and satisfying to me. And so that's why I like to play control. Like I guess I want to be like I want to be in control and have like I don't know. Maybe I don't want my heart beating out of my chest like the whole time while I'm playing, even though it's fun. Does everybody understand like the post passing there and like okay. So I'm not sure that aiming is actually maybe it's one of my weaker skills, and particularly like because I've always been playing so controlled, sometimes I'm not so good at like shooting a ramp, shooting the other ramp, shooting a ramp, but like making 6 ramps in a row is not my thing. I'm working on it lately, but I like to backhand shots a lot. And so for aiming, so I would say a forehand is when you have the ball on the left here and you're aiming to the opposite side. That's a forehand. That's like sort of like the most logical way that shots are often designed, like this. I guess you can see it. So the right ramp over here, like it's turned and it's like facing the left flipper. So you have to flip. You have to shoot from the left flipper on this game. That's the right ramp. The left ramp is like turned the other way and it's facing the right flipper. But I've played this game enough times and I've tried it out and I've watched other people, like I know that you can backhand the left ramp on this game. And that looks like that, although I did not make the shot. But see how theoretically So the thing I would say about backhanding versus forehanding is that, let me get the ball under control here. That was a drop catch. I'll talk about that later. So the thing I would say about backhanding, like a forehand, the shot is wider. Like it's going to be a wider shot because of the geometry of the game. And when you're backhanding something, it's probably narrowing, the angle that the ball is approaching is like narrowing the shot. So it's going to be a tighter shot to backhand, and it's going to be like a wider shot to forehand. But the ball on a forehand is going to be moving much faster. And the reason is because when you, like, if I'm shooting to the left here and I let go of the ball, I have to let the ball move further down the flipper before I flip. And that means that the flipper will be like in contact with the ball for a longer period of time. So I'm just gonna. So like the ball is out here and you flip, like you're going through like the whole range of this flip. And if the ball is here and you flip, it's not going as far. So a forehand like throws the ball much more quickly, and a backhand, because you're shooting it early like the flipper, is going to be a softer shot. And so if you miss, it's going to be easier to recover on that softer shot. And often the angles of your miss are safer on a backhand. So I have the ball over here and I'm backhanding and I hit this post, like it's often going to go, like the ball will sort of like go out to the side or over this way. But like a forehand coming here and hitting this post is a fast and like possibly dangerous angle right down the middle or towards the out lane. So there's like trade-off there. Backhand, narrower shot, but easier to recover. Forehand, wider shot. So here I'll try forehand. And I did it there, no problem. And I'm going to try and keep the ball under control. There I nudged the machine as I thought the ball was coming too close down the middle. And I nudged and flipped it. I'll talk about that later. So backhand, backhand. And sometimes you might be able to catch the ball as it comes through the in lane right here on the flipper. Bounce pass. So here, I'm going to just not flip and see what happens. That was scary, I think. I don't know that I love the way that came out. I'll try it again, and you can watch, like, okay, that felt a little bit better. This is something I like to do to any machine, like, all the time. So there's games like Addams Family, that there's 2 scoops in that game, and you're constantly going in those scoops, and the ball is kicking back out. I want to know what happens if I don't flip, like, I want to know how to control the ball safely coming out of those 2 scoops, because it's going to happen a lot. And I watch other people play, and the ball comes out, and they fling it away every time. And that is like putting themselves at risk when they might be able to just lift up the flipper and the ball comes to a stop, or bounce it over and stop it on the other side. And so what we saw just there was I didn't flip, and it bounced, and it made it over, and it was okay. Let's try, let me just try like another option here. So I'm gonna try just holding it and pulling this up. So that was okay. In both of these cases, to me it looked like this kick out, the ball was coming very close to the slingshot here, very close to like the heel of the flipper. So something I could be doing is nudging the game to change the path of that. It's just one touch of that is a tilt, and it ends your ball, or in some cases it ends your game. And in those games, those older EM games, bonus is very important, and ending your ball and losing your bonus or ending your game is real bad. In modern games, although there are exceptions, most games the bonus is not that significant of a portion of your score, and so it's just less risky to tilt. And if you can move the machine and take a danger, and you save a ball that you would have drained, that's an extra ball. And you could do that, you know, if you can nudge well enough, you could get yourself basically 6 extra balls over the course of the game if you used all of those nudges to like save a ball that you were going to lose. So I'm gonna post pass. No, that isn't quite good. Just want to get it on the right. Okay, so I'm gonna try shooting back in this scoop, and this time, because I didn't like because I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna shoot this scoop a couple times in the game, or several times in the game. I'd like to be able to get it under control successfully, safely when that happens. So I'm gonna shoot it in there, and then there's a rail up here that the ball, when it kicks out, comes along that rail. So I'm gonna like slap the side of the machine as it's getting to the end of that rail to push the ball further away, like further out, so that it comes more to the middle of the flipper. That's the plan. So that, all right, I'm gonna try it again. It was very hard for me. All right, maybe this is not a good example. This happens very quickly, and I don't know that I can like. It's hard for me to judge exactly when this ball is gonna kick out. But hopefully that made sense conceptually. And again, it's like, you know, sometimes I can make a shot 5 times in a row, and all right, this isn't the greatest example of that skill, but there are games, particularly like modern Sterns, where you'll hit an orbit shot that goes like around, and it comes down, and it comes and will like reliably hit the slingshot, like the top of the slingshot or the middle of the slingshot. And there's often an opportunity to nudge, shoot this thing around, and then do this, and bring the ball out just a little bit, and now it comes to your flipper instead of the slingshots. I'm always thinking about like what kind of being aware of which shots, like where the dangerous things are in the game and where the safe things are in the game. And in older games, 70s, early 80s, everything, like before ramps basically, like the design of the games, there were just not any safe shots. You hit a drop target, you may hit the shot you wanted and never see the ball again, and what are you going to do? You hit the spinner, goes in the pop bumpers, comes down, and you drain. But in modern games, most of the shots, you will get the ball back safely. On this game, virtually every shot, if you hit it, so in this game, there's 4 banks of targets. Those are ones that you're not quite sure what's going to happen when you hit them. But everything else, the orbit, the ramp, this orbit, and this scoop, all of them will give you the ball back when you make them. So if you can be accurate, you're getting the ball back. And you'd love to be paying attention to little things about how does the ball come back to me when I make that shot, and what's safe, what can I do, and what can I not do. And then when the ball is out of control, then you need to be working on recovering and getting it back under control. The main source of randomness in modern games is the pop bumpers, which I guess you can sort of see in this game. In this game, they're like, the pop bumpers are up here, and they're sort of enclosed in their own little area. They're not that likely to drain you. There are games like Total Nuclear Annihilation has like a pop bumper that's just out in the open. Godzilla has one that's out in the open. Rick and Morty. Circus Voltaire, yeah. Like games like Kiss and the Modern Kiss and Rush and Aerosmith, which all of those are designed by the same guy. Maybe Walking Dead's different, but those have like a pop bumpers in the same spot on the left where there's an orbit shot through them, but they can drain you out of there if you're unlucky. So I like to keep the ball moving like up and down the play field and making shots, and out of like pop bumpers if they're dangerous, and definitely like away from the slingshots if possible. If the answer is like, how do I stop the slingshots from draining me? If that's the question. The answer is like, don't end up in the slingshots. Like, what did you do to end up there? that was where you made a mistake. You missed a shot, or whatever, you got unlucky.
So
Any questions?
with your nudging, do you nudge in the direction you want the ball to go or opposite?
Great question. I did this wrong for like probably at least a year, and I don't even remember like how I figured it out. Maybe somebody told me or whatever, but I was doing it wrong for a very long time. So what I was doing is ball's coming to the right out lane. Oh gosh, I gotta move the machine away, like I don't know. That was my reaction, was to like go the other way with the machine. But then I learned like to sort of like think about it more conceptually, which is there is not very much friction between the ball and the playfield. So like not enough for the movement of the playfield to change the path of the ball. Really, if the ball is doing this and the machine wasn't and the machine just rolling across the playfield, like relative to this room we're standing in, I cannot change the path of that ball in space. But I can move I can move the world around it, and so I could move an object in this world into the path of the ball. So if it's going towards this right out lane here, like I want to move. There's a post, and it has a rubber on it in this game between the in lane and out lane here. I want to move that into the path of the ball. So that is like, in that case, it's like to the right or up or both. So if it's coming to this right out lane, I maybe either want to do like a diagonal or like a sideways nudge to try and move this post into the path of the ball so that it collides and it goes away.
The opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're going to follow the ball probably. For the out lane, I would say there may be other like where I tell people the easiest place to start is for nudging, because I remember knowing like, okay, gotta learn to nudge, and I just like, for a while things were happening too quickly. I knew I needed to do something. I couldn't move the game. It was too slow between like the thought and action. But the slingshots, you will often have balls come into the top of the slingshot. It happens like very frequently. And you can if it comes towards the inside of the slingshot, it can skip off the slingshot without firing and like aim towards middle flippers. It can also hit the like outside of the slingshot and go over the in lane into the out lane. So I think like the easiest place to start with nudging is ball comes into the top of the slingshots, nudge forward. And it's just like, I don't want the ball to decide what it's going to do here. I'm just going to shove something into it and send it up in a way and have it slowly come back down in under control. And then like the next maybe evolution of that is, okay, it's coming to the inside of the slingshot. So I want to move the slingshot so that the ball hits that top post on top of it, rather than skipping off or skipping in. So if it's going out, move it over this way, and if it's going in, move it over this way. And that's sort of like a low risk, easy way to like start learning. Saving a ball from going out the out lanes is more difficult for sure. And with balls coming to the in lanes, this is the thing to be careful with. Like, if a ball is going to just swish right through the in lane, you do not want to move the machine, because if you move it, now you might start rattling that ball with those rubbers on a ball that would have come through cleanly. And I find this like very challenging to figure out, is if something's coming to the in lane, do I do something or not? And probably the same principles apply. If it's going to hit the outer post, I want to like, actually it could be the opposite there. If it's coming to the in lane and it's going to just graze the right side, I'd like to move that post out of the way so that it goes through the in lane. Or if it was going to hit the slingshot, I like to move the slingshot out of the way. But that's difficult to do for sure. Did that answer the question? All right,
question.
Cool. Any other questions? I have lots more to say, but yes.
Same principle for the balls that go straight down the middle?
Okay, that's a good one. So,
Especially when you can see him coming all the way down.
right, totally. Okay, so
Or coming out of the scoop.
Like Guns N' Roses?
yeah,
Straight down.
yeah. All right. So for balls coming down the middle, I mean, I might be able to do this with the glass off, but I could probably just explain it, and we'll see if that's good enough. This is like, we call this a slide save, and I think it's like very difficult, but like super impressive. And some of this depends on the tilt sensitivity and like the weight of the game. Like the 90 Bally Williams wide bodies games are 100 pounds, almost 100 pounds heavier than. So this game weighs like 250, 275. Some of those like heavy 90s games are like 350. And that makes a big difference. I think that's a reason why people say like those games are just so much better built. Well, they're just like heavier, so they feel like, you know, solid. So okay, ball's coming straight down the middle. Ideally, you could tell, in a perfect world, you could tell maybe it's a little bit closer to one flipper or the other. So if you decide, and if you can't decide, you just have to pick. It doesn't matter. Just pick one direction. But let's just say it's coming towards the right. I think it's a little bit to the right. So what I want to do is I want to stick the right flipper into the path of the ball in a way that, okay, so when the flipper's down, so flipper's down, flipper's up. The part where the flipper like extends the furthest into the gap between flippers is in the middle. That makes sense? Like up here, you know, it's over here, it's down here, but in the middle, you have like extra there. So I want to flip to collide with the ball at the middle and move the machine like away from that. I want to poke that flipper into the area between the terrain. Does that make sense?
So if it's coming down the middle and closer to the right flipper, you're pushing from the right edge of the machine towards the center.
Like basically the same flipper I'm flipping, that's the like hand that's gonna like move it. And so, you know, just, and you know, it's nice to know like how I got one warning there. But the gap between if you have both flippers like in the middle and you put the ball between them, there's not very much space on either side of the ball. Sometimes it feels that way when you're playing with this like huge gap, but it's, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch on each side. And so it's not that hard to imagine like that you could move the machine 1/4 of an inch, and that will be enough to save the ball. So as I play some more, maybe there'll be like an opportunity for that to happen. And you know, when I early on, so I guess I would call that a slide save. Early on, I would do a lot of what I would call like slap saving, which is where you like flip one flipper and then you flip the other one really quickly. Mm-hmm. So you know, you're like poking it over to the other one, you're flipping away really quickly. I was doing that, and I was like working, and then I was doing it more, and it got to the point where I was like often flipping into the bottom of the other flipper. Wow. So that's happened. You know, you flip both and you see like it hit the bottom of the flipper drain. And so if that's like, and I was doing that too much. And so I kind of like almost stopped doing slap saves like that completely. I think I went too far. I think I should be able to use it sparingly, but not too often. So now I'm kind of just more focused on like really getting it right with the one flipper and not worrying so much about the other one. Hopefully I flip it away, or it kind of lands on the other flipper and I'm paying so much attention that I can see that happen, flip away, instead of automatically just assuming that flipping the second flipper is going to help. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Let me see what time I have here. Oh my gosh. Somehow. That was like 40 minutes. I barely even played pinball.
If you think straight down the middle, you can't tell right or left. Would you do a double flipper hit?
Yeah.
No, I would not do that. So I'll just say, so okay, I'm sure you've like seen people, you know, play, or little kids or whatever, they're just like doing this all the time. It is like incredibly surprising to me how often I will see a ball rattle between the tips of the flippers as they do that, and then it drains. And so it's like, you know, if you're gonna stick one flipper out like this, like, and it's going to just nick it a little bit, you don't want your other flipper raised, you know, like you want it down so that there's more, you know, there's like more space for that ball to go. And with all of this also, you'd like to let go of each flipper as quickly as possible so that you aren't like in a situation where flipper is raised and the ball goes underneath it. And so something that I forget to talk about a lot is I do this thing I'm trying to call like shielding, which is, so if I'm playing, if you're watching me play and I'm just like flipping the flippers and the ball is not on the flippers, it's because a ball is coming into a slingshot. So the ball comes into the right slingshot. Sometimes, this has happened to all of us, like slingshot doesn't fire and it goes towards the, you know, drain, or it does fire and it fires it like between the flippers. So as it's coming to the right slingshot, and I just do this like habitually always, as it's coming in here, I raise the right flipper. And so like, I think you can probably see from now, like here's a perfect gap for the ball to go through. Now, if a ball comes in over here and then down, like the ball cannot drain through this gap anymore. So I'll raise the flipper and try and let go as quickly as the ball is out of there. Because what happens is it goes into this slingshot and then it goes into the other slingshot. So then I'm quickly doing this, and then if it goes back, I'm doing this. And so I'm like constantly doing that thing. And if you're too slow on those, you have a ball coming over here, raise this one, goes over to the other side, and now you've created a massive gap for the ball. This is the worst. This is the width of like 2.5 balls. That it'd be better, you know, if you had not done anything. So okay, so I'll just like flip around a little bit, and I'll try. That would have been a good opportunity for me to slap there. And there, I nudged the machine, like as I was like, the ball was like bouncing off the tip of the flipper, and I just nudged the machine forward. So like, I felt like it was moving pretty slow, and I wanted to make sure it got over. So just nudging off the flipper even is a common thing that I do, like that. So try and like back in some stuff. And there you go. So that was sort of it. I couldn't say all those things I just did.
You're doing a lot of nudging when it's coming to the slingshots.
Yeah, and there was like a ski pass. And here, let's just say I could forehand, but maybe I'm really confident at the back end, and let's pass over. And this starts a multi-ball. So in multi-ball, and generally, like when I have a ball saver on, which is right now when the shoot again lane is going, you know, I will get all these balls will come back to me if I drain. So I just play like crazy.
Yeah, you could say, how do you do multiple?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like trying to take advantage. But then as the this is a nice ball. Right? Oh, I got the added ball. Okay, so now that the ball saver is gone, I'm gonna start trying to get things under control. I'm not sure why all these back. Okay. I'm just gonna let one go here. All right. Okay. So if I usually only do this during multi-ball with 3 balls or less. Like if there's 4 balls, I won't try and create a balls. But you can play multi-ball in a controlled way, like this. And you know, on games where maybe all the shots are lit and everything is a jackpot, maybe this is less appropriate. If for something like Adam's Family and multi-ball, there's only one shot that matters. Nothing else gives you points. You might as well just stop everything and play with 1 ball. And if this is Adam's Family, I got 2 balls on the left, 1 on the right. I can shoot the right one up that thing ramp, and then it feeds to the upper flipper, and I can just shoot with the upper flipper and keep these other 2 balls out of danger completely. This game, so now what's gonna happen?
Nice.
that was lucky. Now I got the opposite thing, and maybe here I just like, you know what? I'm just gonna play with this 1 ball and leave the other 2 there. And if you get into the situation where they're all in the same, I don't know if I'll be able to set that up and get them all in the same. Make mistakes there. So like I should have been able to save that. It kind of felt like I was gonna have to fling everything away. There are little, this is not a strength of mine, but there are tiny little micro flips that you can do to, if I was really good at it, like I could figure out where on this left one, there's like a way you can hear it, but hopefully it's just like flipping a little bit. So if I like knew sort of like how to do that quickly, that's what I would have done. It would have been this tiny little thing and pop that one over. In this situation, and now you have to do what's called the cradle separation, and there's like maybe I would say 3 main ways of doing this. One is to pop the ball up a little bit, have it roll off the slingshot, collide with the ball you still have in the flipper, and have that momentum send it over. You could go further than that and like have a ball maybe hit these rock targets and come back down and do that. In between is that you're in danger of going in the out lane. And then also maybe what's called like an up and over, where you would pop 1 ball up, shoot the other ball out from underneath it, and then catch the original ball. And so I'll just try, we'll see. I'll try to do like the tiniest. There you go.
There you go. Nice.
So that was totally, I should do it more of a relaxed like that. Often. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do the smallest flip I possibly can. And that's gonna work. So let's try and get this situation again here and see. Okay, so there, I flipped too hard, and if I had been able to flip really softly, I could have kept that one under control. Okay.
Nice save.
Thank you. All right. So I don't know if you saw that very well there, but like that ball was going out, and I like gave it a nudge, and then it still was over there, and I was able to give it another one. It's like that bottom rubber punched the ball into the top rubber, and then it came back out. And I like to, I mean, it depends how quickly you can see things, and it gets like easier over time. Hopefully the ball, like the slower the ball is moving for you and your perception, like the easier it is. But I like to try and wait as long as possible. Like ball is bouncing around in there. If I know there's like an opportunity to like hit that ball and get it out of there, I'll take it. But if I don't see that and I don't know what it's going to do, like I try and wait till, and maybe that's, if it ends up in the out lane, like I waited too long. But there, I felt like I saw it in trouble, but I was able to like wait till I was sure I had a thing, and then. But if you're not nudging at all, like at the beginning, just do something, and like eventually you will start to see. You will have a thing where it's like, like that ball was going out, and I brought it back to life. I also would say that the games that I play, I have an arcade in Lions. I don't know. Has anybody been to Lions Classic Pinball? All right, cool. So there's like 70 machines there. It's the largest collection of games in Colorado. Maybe the Penny Arcade, but we have all eras of machines. I have the tilts very loose on those machines because that's like part of the skill of pinball to me. As a result, I probably have been nudging as hard as I can without taking a danger. But I think, and so that hurts me when I play other people's games with tighter tilts. And I have lots of places where I make a really hard nudge and I bring the ball back, but it's like given so much force that it's in the out lane and it comes back and it goes back to the out lane. And so really you would like to do the small, like the smallest nudge you can to save the ball, rather than the biggest one you can that will tilt. I think. I mean, either are fun, but yeah. So let me try like doing it up and over here. Well, that worked out fine though. That's not something I should have done. It's just, all right. So kind of like that. I didn't exactly get the other end under control. But, all right. So I kind of made a mistake there. So the thing that I just did there was, and this is what I did this very early on. Ball is coming to, let's say, the right flipper here. And instead of like bounce passing or doing something else, I just like held the flipper up. And that's like the beginner, like I'm gonna get the ball here. The ball is coming to this flipper, hold it up. If the ball comes to a stop there, great, success, you did it. But what happens frequently, and what happened to me just there, is, well, I'll explain it on the left side because I'm holding this flipper. Ball's coming to the left flipper, I hold it up, it hits the flipper, it hits the slingshot, and then it like rainbows into the drain. And so if you find that happening to you, like that was the wrong move. And I generally do not do that anymore at all. I think it's hard to predict that trajectory. Ball's coming, hold it up. I would rather bounce pass. It's hard, harder to do that in multi-ball with multiple balls going around, but so I will bounce pass or do a drop catch. I did one earlier and I haven't really talked about it. A drop catch is like how you would do an egg toss. Somebody throws an egg to you, and when you catch it, you do this, like you drop with the egg to try and like, reduce the collision there. And so there's these two moves, drop catch and live catch. Drop catch is you lift the flipper up and drop it as the ball arrives. And the live catch is ball's coming to the flipper and you flip and you try and meet the ball at the very top of the flip at the same time. And I think that timing for that is extremely difficult. It's like, I've been trying for years, 4 minutes. Okay, and I still don't have it. So anyway, I can try and do those. Are there other questions? I mean, I could keep going. I've got lots more. We're running out of time. For me, like a drop catch is, I used to think that they were pretty gimmicky and sort of like unnecessary until I saw Escher, who is number 2 in the world right now, was 1 for an entire year, is from Colorado, has been playing, since he was 3 years old. He's 19 now. He's 20 now. So like I have watched him in multi-ball, and he's got balls cradled on one side, and then flipping around with his other flipper. Ball comes to the free flipper, and he drop catches that, and then he shoots it away. Like, ball's coming in, like receive it and fling it away really quickly. The thing about a drop catch is that you won't get the ball to a stop. It will stop for a brief second, and then you're gonna have to like send it on its way. I'm just kind of trying to remind myself to say this today. I guess one of the final things for me is, does anybody here like play in tournaments or leagues? Nobody yet. Okay, so I highly recommend that. If you live in Colorado, there's too many there's like so many tournaments and leagues here now that it's impossible to not conflict with anybody. You could be playing. I live in like the Boulder area. There's league Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at different locations, just like northwest of Boulder or of Denver, including stuff that's not including things that are going on in Denver. But the most common went to the outlane. I rattled it out of the outlane, which I've only done like a single-digit number of times in my life. I get the ball back in the flipper, and my heart was like beating out of my chest. And I was like this for like an entire minute. And there were like 30 people watching me. And I just like, okay, breathe. Like, get under control. And I like could only like reduce my anxiety or excitement, which by the way are the same things. Like the physiological symptoms of your body, like your skin and your heart and all that stuff, for excitement and anxiety, same. It's your brain that is telling you you are nervous or you are excited. And so I was really trying to convince myself that I was excited. And I missed it like 4 more times, and I didn't get it. And somebody caught me, and we tied, and we played a tiebreaker, and I lost that. So the mental game is definitely part of it too. Like, I'm now like really trying to be conscious of like trying to be relaxed. Heart is really beating. Like, try and work on that. Don't put a lot of pressure on myself to do the thing. Try and be casual about it. And so anyway, I should stop talking. Yeah.
My last question.
Yeah.
What's your favorite pinball machine? Yeah, like top 3 or
yeah,
something?
so it has changed over time. My first favorite one when I first started playing was Twilight Zone.
Nice.
There was like a time where I said Tron was my favorite. There was a time where, and yeah, probably Tron would be number 2. And now I think it's Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
I don't know. The first like 10 games I played on that were just like my favorite first 10 games I've ever played on games. And that game, if you don't know, is designed by the guy who's the Keith Elwin. He's the greatest competitive player of all time.
Yeah.
Spent years making this game in his garage. Stone took a look at it, hired him, they turned it into Iron Maiden. And he has Jurassic Park, Avengers, and Godzilla, and those games are all amazing. I still like Iron Maiden for some reason. I think his games, like the rules are getting even more complicated and deeper, and I think Iron Maiden is like a good mix of. There's not that many things going on. So if anybody wants to talk now or later about more stuff, ask me. I would be happy to play a game with any of you guys in person out there. I also run Comet Pinball, so I sell LEDs, but I'll be at the booth over there. You could come by and ask questions. Want to play a game? We could talk about rules to specific games.
Awesome.
We'll see you in Lions.
All right, yeah.